Welcome to For Mannerless Women, a space nurturing a new generation of shame-free women who are ready to meet their best selves. I'm your host, Adelle, and in this episode, you're going to meet someone who helped me navigate my divorce. She was an incredible lawyer in that moment for me. Her name is Barbara Malowa, and she's a senior partner at Alakona Law. She's going to be breaking down everything you need to know when it comes to legalities on marriage and divorce. All right, so this has been a long time coming. I feel like we haven't met up since you were helping me with my divorce. And so I have to say thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
I tell every woman who's in a similar situation that they have to talk to you because I feel like you and your team completely just understand the process. You made it so easy for me. And you handle all my emotions. Like the amount of crying I did in Barbara's office. So I wanted you to come and help our community get a lot of legal knowledge on things women experience in life that we go into maybe not understanding the legalities, right? So let's start with where we met. But in the good phase of it, right? Which is marriage.
Yes.
I think when I got married, I did not know the legalities of marriage.
Yes.
I knew the romance,
The planning.
all
the flowery
bits.
bits.
All the flowery bits.
Maybe
even if it was plans I wanted, like I knew all of that, but I don't think I even really read what the marriage laws look like. As much as you do Sharia house, you just know, you have to be on a bulletin for I don't know how many days.
Like 21 days, you have to set a date and things like that. But people just focus on the rosy bit of it.
Yeah.
They don't go into the legalities of it. Because, I mean, even when you're getting into a marriage, you don't imagine that it's gonna end one day.
Exactly.
It's actually a possibility. So people don't think about that.
So what does the law, what do you think we need to know about marriage that the law dictates?
Yeah. So, I mean, first, you set a date. The two of you agree on a date, but you still have to go through the process of going to Sharia house. There's some, now it's even been simplified because I think you go through e-Citizen. And
oh, really?
Yes. There's some documents you have to upload on the system. And of late, there's an affidavit, especially if you're not married, or if you were married before divorced, then affidavit you have to update a statutory declaration stating that you can get into this marriage. But a lot of people have been experiencing challenges there because they're so the detail on the wording, they're being sent back and forth that you need to state this, it needs to state this, So it's a lot of pressure there because they just want to be sure you're getting into this marriage and you can legally get into this contract because they see as a marriage is a contract.
It is a
between
contract.
two people, So they want to ensure that these are two adults of same mind and they have the capability of getting into this contract. So you upload the document on Citizen, you're given a date to go there, you have to book a wedding date as well. So you appear before the registrar, the marriage registrar, and then from there now they give you a date for your ceremony. So those are the details you have to go through before now you go to if you're conducting a church ceremony and not just the civil one. Because you start on the civil one, then now people proceed to the church one. Others just do the civil and that's it. Yeah.
What does this contract mean for me legally? So let's say I am a single woman. I have been in business and I've got a nice booming business. I meet this great guy and we get married. We do the entire Sharia house, now e-Citizen things. What does it legally mean? What am I consenting to even without knowing?
Okay. So of course, first and foremost, get into a marriage and it's a monogamous union because you've registered civilly and gone to church, so you can't contract any other form of marriage. And yes, illegally, you can't get into a relationship with another person because now you have a contract with this one person that you're going to be true to them and all those things that people say. So you can't contract any other form of marriage. And then now when you get into this union, when it comes to assets, acquiring assets, now the assets you acquire when you're in the marriage, now your spouse has a beneficial interest in them. The ones you acquired before, unless when it comes to the point of divorce and they can prove that they improved it during the marriage, then they don't have a right to it, yes. But the ones after, they have a beneficial interest. But to the extent even when you're coming to the end, I mean, you don't plan for the end, but the question will be like, where is the proof of the improvement? So that's something that you also have to be aware of. So also number 3 is if you get children, you have parental responsibility. You're supposed to both contribute equally to them. I mean, traditionally, we've set rules that the man should do this, the woman should do this. But legally, when the union terminates and now you have to take care of the children, it's equal responsibility between the two of you, whether you're employed or not, because the children are your responsibility. So those are the 3 major issues that when getting into a marriage now, you should make yourself aware of that. And I always tell people, because inevitably, I mean, when you get to the end, it's a sad process, but now that's our work. It's our work. So I always say, unfortunately, at that point, you'd want to think, especially if you purchase a house, and you help your spouse during the marriage, and you help your spouse in improving it, because the spouse could say that I bought it using my own money, and you are the one who enabled it. You supported him to be comfortable and be able to work and get the money to purchase the house, or you bought some cement here and things. People don't always think about it, but please keep those receipts. It's not in a bad way, and you're not bringing doom upon yourself, but keep those receipts, because in the event that you come to the end, you'll need them.
You'll have to prove it.
You'll have to prove it, and that's the only way you prove it.
Oh my goodness.
Exactly. So even when things are merry, you should always think of the worst. Unfortunately.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Correct. Yes.
This is so interesting. What I found so strange about marriage from a legal standpoint is that it was so easy legally to get married, but it was so hard. And I was like, I didn't need a lawyer to get married. I mean, now you're saying, with the affidavit and
stuff like that,
but that wasn't the case for me. I didn't need there wasn't too much back and forth. All I had to deal with is Sharia houses, shenanigans, which as a Kenyan I was prepared for, right? So I always feel like, again, it's not to speak doom, but it's also just to have people have their awareness that should it end just like prepare, it's going to be very difficult. So in terms of our divorce laws, can I call it that? Or like how the law views divorce, right? I found it limiting, and it felt like you're an adult, you've decided something, but like the law is still asking, are you sure? And like after every 2 weeks, but are you really sure, So right now, what does it look like? If somebody's watching this and they want to explore the option of divorce, what do they have to think about when they have to have contact with the law? What is it going to stipulate in terms of reasons and things like that?
So as I say, that a marriage is a contract, just like any other. And that's why when you go to court, you must give reasons. Like when you get into a contract, it's not just a game you're getting into, And that's why they've put these stringent reasons that it's not a game you get in and out when you choose. That's why they decide that you have to prove to them that you have tried to make this thing work, but it doesn't. Yeah. So when you want to get a divorce, the first thing you have to think about the reasons, because the law provides for 4 reasons as to why you could put forward to the court to grant you petition the court for a divorce. The first one is cruelty. It could be physical, emotional abuse, and things like that. And these are things you have to put forward in your petition and tell the court, this is why I want out. It could be
on that point, if it's like emotional abuse, what does proof look like? Is it like you're a therapist writing something?
Yes. I have instances where you request for a report from a therapist. Perhaps you're fighting and trying to do counseling and it affected you in this way. You had to go see a therapist, and some will just prefer a brief report also because of confidentiality. They don't want to get deep into that, and so you actually sometimes you suffer a mental breakdown because of torture, physical torture or mental torture this person is inflicting on you. So that's a type of emotional abuse. Or you get home and someone keeps telling you you're not good enough. You're not, unfortunately, I don't like the way you cook, things like that. You're not taking care of my children, the house is a mess. And they make some derogatory remarks maybe about how you look. You have to understand as a woman, after you give birth, there's some changes you go through, So at that point, women are usually very sensitive and someone might decide to pick on you at that point, that's emotional abuse, you see.
So do you try and document these things?
And I mean, some people do, but it's also really hard, like you just let it pass. So that's why when you come to me, I'll try and filter and see how to frame it in the petition, And the third one is reconcilable differences, because I usually say, we'll say all these things and courts are courts of records. So if you have children especially, they could see these things that you've written down. And sometimes when you've decided enough is enough and you want to leave, there's no point. I usually say there's no point because you want to leave this person. So we just state something small. You don't have to go deep into the details unless it's physical. And then physical, perhaps you reported it to the police station, you have medical records, and things like that. Then we attach them as evidence. But the emotional one is also a delicate balance. And then, of course, there's irreconcilable differences. If you don't want to get much into it, then you just sum it all up, irreconcilable differences, that this thing is not working anymore. Perhaps we stay in the same house, we're not talking, it's just in and out. I see him in the morning, I see him at night. There's no communication at all. When communication has broken down, he does whatever he wants to do. Perhaps he or she, because it could be either way, leaves in the morning, comes even back after 3 days, and we're not discussing the issue. Perhaps you've gone back to your parents, at the end of the day, we're Africans.
The
cultural context that you have to go try talking to your best couple. Talk to your best man, talk to your parents, I don't know, cousins, everyone is trying. You try to bring everyone in. And we've tried all these things. Talk to your pastor also. It's not working. And maybe I may not be interested in participating in those reconciliation talks because I've just reached the end. So that's also. And then there's also, if you've been separated, you're living together, you got married. First of all, in Kenya, before you file for divorce, you have to have lived together for 3 years.
Hang on.
Yes.
Why? Because what if I'm going through these reasons? I know we still have 2 more reasons to go into, right? But what if I'm experiencing them in year 1?
Then you can separate. Perhaps they give you that opportunity within those 3 years. Perhaps it's just a hit of the moment and you could go back, you see, and make a mistake. You'd say we can work it out. But after 6 months, you want a divorce. I mean, so many people would be doing that.
Oh,
you
really?
Need to think of that.
Because I guess the transition is it's so different.
Yes, you see. So they give you 3 years. So after 3 years is when, after your marriage, then you can file for divorce. You can annul within a year if you've not had sex. No intercourse after celebration of her marriage.
Wait,
then you go for.
Wait, because
You've not consummated your marriage.
Okay, wait, Kenya, let's just all have an AGM right now. Okay. So I can only file for divorce after marriage for 3 years, right?
Yes.
What I can do in the interim, I know we're laughing about it, but somebody could be experiencing like physical violence. So what you can do within that period is maybe separate, right? So that you're safe.
Yes.
Annulling, which sounds, and maybe you can tell us what that means. So annulment is only an option
Within a year.
Within a year.
Yes. It's called annulment and not a divorce.
Okay.
So if within that year, perhaps there are things you didn't know about this person, or their what do you call it? Their status or identity. They have a fake identity. You can annul the marriage, or you've not consummated your marriage within that year. You could also go for annulment. But these are the things, cruelty, they won't grant an annulment. So if there's physical, if you've been beaten up or anything like that, I would advise you separate. Go to a different place.
Safety,
for safety purposes. Go to a different place, get your own house or stuff like that. And then if you feel like it's not working out, you've been separated for 2 years. If the 3 year, it's hit 3 years and you've been living separate for 2 years, that's also a ground for divorce. It's one of the reasons you can cite that. It's married for this period, 3 years, but for 2 years we've been living apart. So that's also a reason you can give for the divorce. Yes.
Before we get back
to hit the 3 years.
This is new for me. Like I didn't even know this. Before we get back to our reasons, we have 2 more to like really unpack. When I've separated, is it a legal document or do I just up and leave?
Actually, there are people who go to court for judicial separation.
Okay.
You can actually file for judicial
separation.
Isn't
that safer? Because I'm wondering if I've separated from you, there are liabilities, right? Because I'm still tied to you. I don't know what you're doing financially. I don't know.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's safer. You could go so that it's on record that the court has granted you a separation, right? You could go and ask the court for it. But most people don't know that. So they just move out and keep on going with their lives. Because at the end of the day, even if you're separated, you're still married.
Yeah, legally.
Yeah, you're still married. So you could go for a legal separation.
Yeah. Okay. Where? All right. So let's get back to, 3 years in, you're getting a divorce. There's cruelty, irreconcilable differences.
There's adultery.
Okay.
There's also adultery.
There's adultery there.
Yes. And most people, it's really hard to prove adultery because, one, you have to gain access to someone's phone. And the question then arises, how did you get this text?
So if you got it through dubious means, you can't present it to the court.
I mean, you'd get them then, but the question will always be at the mind of the magistrate. How did you get these things there? So, or even if you take pictures, there's something called certificate of electronic evidence that you have to attach as proof.
Yeah.
You have to cite the details of the camera or the phone you took and stuff like that, So, and then also trying to get someone, you could also write it down, but now trying to, for instance, to say your husband was having an affair, who's at this place at this time, do you have a private investigator or things like that? It's very complicated. So most people now are going for irreconcilable differences. And then that irreconcilable differences, you can cite examples of these things, whether it's adultery, cruelty, willful neglect, things like that.
But you wouldn't be so pressed for the evidence.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one is
the separation.
Okay, so is it, just remind me the word, is it like deserted or like?
Willful neglect. There's willful neglect and the separation. You've just separated, like you were living together you got married and then, for instance, like you said that you did the 3-year one and perhaps you moved.
Yeah.
So you've been separated within those 3 years that just were together. Those 2 of the years you've been living apart. So you could cite that also. But honestly, this thing, we got married, we stayed together for 6 months. After that, we were living apart. So you cite separation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that willful neglect?
Willful neglect usually comes under irreconcilable differences because someone just abandons you and takes off. And you don't even know where they are or, stuff like that. So you cite willful neglect. and irreconcilable differences. Because if someone has willfully neglected you, you can't even work out on your issues. They're gone.
Because where do you
even find them? Yeah.
So, and what's the process? So you've gotten like your reason. Now, what's the process?
Yes. So you get a lawyer. You go speak to a lawyer. And when you go to a lawyer's office, first they'll speak to you. They'll want to understand. You have to tell them. And when you go into your lawyer's office, this is one is advocate-client confidentiality, right? So there's some deep things. It's like a therapy session.
It is, yeah.
You just open up and tell them everything so that you enable now us to know how we'll frame those issues. You understand? So that how we'll pack it into all this reason. So once we sit down, you explain to your lawyer everything that you've gone through. Then the lawyer tells you, okay, fine, let's file under these grounds. So then you prepare the petition. Once you prepare the petition, what you're required to do is now attach definitely your marriage certificate. And I found in more and more cases, I don't know why as women, we don't have those documents. The husband takes it on the day of the wedding and keeps it somewhere.
Yes.
So you don't have access to it, but you can actually apply for a certified copy from the Registrar of Marriages, right? But it's very important when you get married, ensure you also have a copy of your certificate. If you're not the one, I mean, more and more we become more in charge and we're the ones keeping the documents, but always ensure you have a copy of a marriage certificate because you have to attach it to your petition. So, and also if you have kids, the birth certificates and things like that, then now you cite the reasons and the petition is filed. Once you file it, you're supposed to serve it on your spouse. Yes, because at that time, they're still your spouse.
Yeah.
So once you serve the spouse, they have 15 days to enter appearance. Of course, you file the papers in court, and then you get once you file, you get something called a notice to appear. So you extract that from court. It is stamped and sealed by a judicial officer. So you serve it alongside the petition to this person, and it's telling them you have 15 days to file a response to enter appearance and file a response to this. Because if that happens and the 15 days lapse, then the petitioner, who is the person who has brought the divorce, who has filed the petition for divorce, goes back to the court and said, listen, I'd like to file an application for the matter to proceed because I have filed this party and they've not entered appearance. So I'm making an application to the court for the matter to proceed undefended because the other party is not defending it.
Is it a good idea to ignore?
Personally, I tell people, I feel like, at the end of the day, and in most instances, the court will grant you the divorce. So if there are things stated on that petition, perhaps you could just enter appearance just to not, also you don't want to come off like you don't care.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't, but just enter appearance like this person is acting for me because they'll keep serving with those documents. Even if you're not there, you encounter situations where the advocate still serves you. And especially if you have an advocate on record, you get to see what is going on, right? But you don't respond. So I would say if you go through the petition with your advocate and you feel there are issues that you need to clarify,
because it's public record.
Yes, you need to clarify, and because perhaps you feel your children would see it or someone else can see it, then let's respond. But let's not get into a war, because at the end of the day, the court is highly likely to grant you the divorce. So just keep it simple and be like, okay, if it's things you can rubbish and say it's not true.
Yeah.
If you have a counter, you explain what happened in that circumstance, right? Then so that's one instance, you serve them and they respond, right? Once they respond, you could do if the person responds and there's something they've raised and you want to clarify it, you could also file one last document now to clarify the issue, right? So you file the petition and then they respond with something called an answer to the petition.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you can decide if you want
whether to reply.
Okay.
Yes. If there's need. It's also important to state everything there because now you can't introduce new evidence
later
outside what you've stated here. It's important that whatever if perhaps you were beaten during the marriage and you don't mention it, now you want to bring it at the hearing stage, it's not possible because you need to confine to what you stated in your petition. So it's important when even your advocate is taking you through it to first talk to you, get you to a place where you can calm down and speak openly about everything so that you don't leave out any issue. So once that is done, if the other party responds, then as the advocate for the petitioner, you go to court, you approach the court with an application whereby you're telling the court, we filed all the documents, we served them, they responded. Please certify the matter as ready for hearing. Yes. And so the documents go before the court and they look through them. And if they see everyone has filed what they need to, they certify the matter ready for hearing and you're told to fix her. They'll give you a hearing or tell you to go to the registry and fix a date. So at this point, when you're doing the application, the parties don't have to attend. I think most people usually get confused and like, do I have to be in court on that day? And you know, they panic. No.
Yeah, because also I remember telling you, I was like, is it like the movies?
Yeah. They really panic.
Suits.
Yes, I know.
I think it's not like suits.
It's not suits. When you come to office, we'll tell you, leave all this legal drama that you've watched. We also watched it. And when perhaps even many people who studied law watch that and they're like, oh, it's going to be the same thing. It is completely different. It's not the same thing. Yeah. So just put that aside here because it's easy you come to your lawyer. I know you can confide in your lawyer, but now you're going before this judicial officer. You don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's a delicate matter. And once you've come, I've created an environment for you where you can speak freely. Yeah. So you're at ease. But now you're scared. When you go before the court, am I a criminal? Are they going to jail me? You know, things like that. And there's nothing actually that you've done.
The only thing you see, even from a Kenyan court, people in pingus.
So you feel like you go for the hearing, oh my God, and the next day I'll be dragged out of that place, put into this Subaru and rushed to DCI. No, that's not the case.
Yeah.
And another thing that happened post-COVID now is we've gone digital.
Exactly.
So we have virtual hearing.
Yeah.
So you could be in Bali, basking and enjoying the beach and, you know, your drink and the hearing during court. But you could attend, just log in. Your lawyer will send you the credentials, you log in. So once the matter is certified as ready for hearing, you appear before the court. So both parties appear before court. And when you appear before the court, what happens is there are some judicial officers who tell you just adapt your statement because you've already written everything there. So now they give a chance to the other side to cross-examine you. So as your advocate, as the petitioner, you swear the oath. I just ask you a few preliminary questions and then now I release you to the other party. And even when you're preparing, and that's why you have something called a pre-trial. So the pre-trial is to prepare you for the actual thing so that you're calm and collected and you don't panic. Because trust me, the other side will be trying to prove to the court that we are here because of this other person. So they try and trigger you. And I think, remember, we kept on telling you, just be calm.
Down.
They might come and say some nasty things, but just ignore. You know, at the end of the day, you know what you want. So just ignore. And if there's a place you need to clarify, then I will lead you, right? And ask you that question, because even as they're asking you the questions, we're allowed to re-examine you after that, just to clarify issues that they may have raised and painted a picture to the court, and we need to actually clarify it. So we'll re-examine you on those issues. Your advocate takes notes and goes through the questions. And I mean, having had the initial session with you, so they also understand what is going on.
Yeah.
So they re-examine you so that you can tell the court your story. So after that, the other party comes in, and then now your advocate, the petitioner's advocate, cross-examines them. And the advocate will also lead them, do the same, and also re-examine. So once you're done with that, and it's,
First, how many hearings are there?
Typically, it's supposed to be one.
Okay.
It's not a complicated matter. It's just one hearing where both parties tell their versions of the story, and the court tells you, okay, fine, I've heard you. We'll give judgment in this number of days. Yeah. So
my hugest misconception of a hearing, and it was informed by legal TV shows, was I was like, this is going to take a whole day, and it's like cha-cha, like just hot, you know? And I remember you saying, it can't even go more than 7 minutes. And I was like, what do you mean? Will we even get into it. Yeah. So like maybe just it does take a short time, right?
Yes, it does take a short time. 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And even 10 is a stretch.
Yeah.
Because you've really filed your documents in court. Yeah. So this is just oral evidence, and perhaps even for the magistrate to get clarity on some issues, and just to listen in and for you to just tell your story. Now the bit that whatever you introduced into writing. So most of them try and keep it as short as possible, because the truth of the matter is nowadays you check the cause list, they have like 30, 40 matters. You see, so if each of them would take a day, remember people are also complaining there's delay in justice. Yeah. So imagine if each person was given a day, would not move at all. We are currently struggling. So you can imagine how that would look like. So it's pretty quick. You're behind the camera, you're very comfortable. Long time you had to go to court, physical court, but now you don't have to do that. So you get behind the camera, you could log in, you don't even have to come to your advocate's office. Wherever you are, as long as and that day before that will tell you, that's why you have to have the pretrial. The pretrial gives you confidence and prepares you for that particular day. On that day, your advocate acts like your advocate and the other side. They also have to give it to you hot so that you're ready for anything. So they play the devil's advocate and put tough questions to you, and it's all in preparing you for the actual date. So you could be wherever you are, like you say, you could be in America, wherever. As long as we send you the court link and you log in, you have good internet, the court matter proceeds, and it takes 5 to 10 minutes at most, and you're done. Most judicial officers don't want to drag it out because, then again, there's nothing new in these divorce cases. They've had it over and over again, so there's nothing new. So it's just the parties who are different.
And then you're thinking it's because it's the biggest thing in your life, right? But for them, they're like, I have, as you say, 30 cases.
So maybe they've confirmed like 10 for that day. So they just want to keep it moving. And in the sense of fact, there's a very little difference. So like, get done with it. I need to move on to the next person. And I think it's even easier because when it takes too long, it also takes an emotional toll on you. You know, now you start thinking about it and you're like, oh my God. But 10 minutes you're done and you proceed with your day. Nobody will even know that you're attending a divorce hearing.
And when it's done, you're like, that's it. That was
well, when you're done with this, you actually did ask that. That's it. Are we done? Is there anything else? Yes. Once you're done with that hearing, there's nothing else. Yes, and I say it could take more days if perhaps you have witnesses, which I really never see the need for witnesses. If you have witnesses, maybe you have a couple of witnesses, so we do yours first and then we come back. So, but it's the two of you who are in that union.
And also, we're all going to the same destination.
Exactly.
So shouldn't you pick the easiest route to
that destination? It's especially very easy when both of you want the divorce. One thing I didn't mention is you can't mutually approach the court and file a consent that we want a divorce. We are done with this marriage. It's not allowed in Kenya. It's something that's being pushed for because if you think about it, it would save time. Because we are agreeable, we are adults.
And emotions.
The same way we got into this is the same way you want to get out of it. So we are pushing for that, for amendment of the laws to allow for mutual consent. But of course, you definitely see the people fighting it. I don't know why. But it would be easier. So that's not allowed. So that's why you have to go through this entire process. So once you've given your evidence in court, then the magistrate retires to prepare their judgment and they give you the timelines. So some are very fast and they could tell you to come back within 2 weeks or a month. So you go back and they deliver the judgment and they grant the divorce in most instances. And actually, when you're even preparing the petition, most times we'll ask you, did you try reconciliation? Because they also want to see that I tried everything. We even went for therapy, but it still didn't work. To even give them that confidence that indeed this thing has broken down completely. There's no way of salvaging it. So once they give you the judgment for the divorce, then there's, at that time when they render the judgment, they give you, there's something called a decree nisi.
That thing ticked me off. Because I was like, it's always like you're like teasing me. It's like if I say, Barbara, do you want chocolate? And you say yes, and I give you the wrapper, but I stay with the chocolate. You know what I mean? So you can smell chocolate, but you don't have the chocolate.
So yes,
so what is that? For someone that doesn't know, decree nisi, right?
So now they it's like they grant the divorce, but not with finality. You see? So they're like, okay, fine. We are granting you the marriage is dissolved, but not with finality. So technically, you're still with this person because the argument is perhaps maybe in these 30 days you could change your mind. You never know. And realize that, perhaps we could actually try this thing again. You see? Then they confirm it within 30 days. So you go to court and say, the 30 days have elapsed. Please give us an absolute. So now the absolute is what shows that indeed the marriage is dissolved.
Can I tell you this process? And I mean, for you who's watching, you can see when we talked about getting married, the process was like, oh yeah, you just did this like e-citizen and like you're in. But look how long the divorce process was. And I think I kept on like, it's such a long process. I was like, Barbara, when? And I remember when you did actually say, okay, here's your divorce certificate, or I don't know what it's called.
Now the absolute.
The absolute.
Extracted it from court,
I had forgotten. Like, you know, I had completely forgotten because of how long. And when I talk to other women, they're like, oh, that was not even long. So what's an estimate of that period? Knowing our courts have a lot on their plates, we're in Kenya, things move a bit slower sometimes.
Yes, I would say we've come a long way. That I'll give to them. Because a long time I would even tell, and I think even when you came, I told you perhaps it could take 6 months to a year. But it actually took less, if I'm not wrong.
No,
did it take a year? It took longer than a year.
I feel like it was long, but it was really like a year and maybe 3 months.
Yes. Yes, but and I think perhaps there was a lot of back and forth between us and the other part.
No.
They responded, did they?
No. It was just petition, accept.
Yes.
Is it?
Yes, the answer to petition, yes.
What took long was getting dates.
Dates, yes. I think, there were no dates. But there's been quite an improvement because right now I can say confidently, if we file and everything runs smoothly, I've seen others take 3 to 6 months.
What?
It's really fast now, surprisingly so. Because you see also the judicial officers are moving fast. So what I know instances sometimes may take long because you may go to court and especially if the other side has not responded, the judicial officer will ask you, give us proof of service that you serve them. And then they might actually tell you, do it a second time. So you see now that takes you to another date, right? But if everything goes smoothly, in fact, I had a colleague who told me that she did 3 months. I was even shocked. Yes, from the time she felt, because what they did is they served 15 days. This guy has not responded. They immediately went to court and sought a date for hearing, for the final application for the matter to be heard and defended. They got a date, right? Virtual hearing. The courts give them a hearing date. In 3 months, they were done. So it could actually take 3 months, but Beyonce's side, let's say 3 to 6 months.
So I know there's a level of privilege I had in terms of having access to finances to be able to pay for some of these, because this process does take money. But I do have to say, and I don't know if maybe I'm sharing business secrets, but I do have to say, we staggered my payments, right? And you are the one who said, hey, because this could take a while, could we do this in this way in terms of payment? But roughly, is there a rough cost to how much this process costs financially?
So I know people charge between 100 to, they find even some charging 500 to over $1 million. You see, they're different, the variables. But I know most people charge between 100 to $1 million. Yes. And then, of course, like you said, some people will give you the staggered payments and some demand for upfront payment. And sometimes I'll even tell you, sometimes it takes long because of issues of payment. Because both sides, if your advocate is not paid, they're not going to they're not going to prioritize your matter or go to court. And unfortunately, some things we also, and I think maybe we've seen it in the media and stuff, when more advocates are complaining about corruption, even within the judiciary, like even things as getting a date, you have to facilitate.
I like that word. Facilitation fee.
Yes, you have to, So it just depends on how proactive that people are. It could take, it also depends on every, it could take forever. It could take a very short time, But you could give people payment plans. Because, sometimes, especially find ladies who perhaps were stay-at-home moms or not working. So they're not able to make these payments all at once. So, if you work with your advocate, they give you a payment plan. I believe that works. And also, I would say, for us, the staggered payments work because, at the end of the day, like if you're paid to do something all at once, you get your points and then you're like, okay.
You've used all the...
I've used all the money. So, there's no motivation at all. So for us, we prefer to give you like a payment plan. Like we start with make the deposit, then when we get to this stage, then the final stage. So it also gives us flexibility and enables you to plan your finances because you understand now this is a new chapter you're getting into. You have to organize your life and stuff like that. So it enables you to budget as well.
Okay. And so what if I have kids? Where do I go after I get the decree absolute?
Yes. So most instances, and I've seen it happen a lot, and because we're also even served with the documentation where in the divorce petition, someone is asking for custody of the children, but that's not it because a divorce court only deals, its jurisdiction is the divorce between these two parties. If you have children, you go to the children's court and you actually don't need to wait for the divorce process to end. You could start immediately. As long as you're separated or whatever, you could start immediately. Most instances, we could be divorcing and you're both, the marriage just hasn't worked. You're not bad people and you actually like, these are kids, let's make a plan for them. This is how we're going to be operating. Perhaps you keep them on these days, I pick them on these days, I pay for this, I pay for this. That's the ideal situation, but it doesn't happen like that. Very few do that. So now we have to go to court. Perhaps you've left the home or this person has left the home. There's rent to be paid. You're not working, These guys have school fees and this is not a responsible parent. You have to chase them. So now we have to go to court to get those orders and tell this parent that you actually have a child and you need to take care of and this is what you need to do. It's unfortunate, but some people only move when they see court orders. So you go to court, you file the case. If the children are going to school, let's say you went through this period perhaps towards December and now it's January is coming and school fees needs to be paid. So you go under something called certificate of urgency and you explain to the court why they need to give you an earlier hearing date as opposed to giving you a date 4 months from now. So the file goes to the magistrate's chambers, they look through it and they'll tell you perhaps have the other party and come on this date so that I hear you both, or they'll even give you interim orders. Mostly nowadays they don't like to give interim orders. They tell you, let me give you an early hearing date so that I can listen to both sides and then I give you a quick order. Because I've seen it in some instances, there's a lot of exaggeration and it's something, we just have to be open and frank about, There's a lot of exaggeration from both sides.
In terms of what
I need or, what the child needs, or someone says, no, I can't afford this school, yet he's living this lifestyle, you see, things like that. So they prefer to call both of you and then they'll give you the orders pending now the full determination because you file an application and the actual complaint. So they give you a date, they'll hear your application. So there you get those interim orders that will operate until now the suit is heard with finality and they give you orders for the child until they're 18 years.
So the interim is just so that while we're going through this process, the child has been taken
comfortable,
care of.
And this is what is happening with access and entertainment, all those things, medical. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. Yes.
And are we at a place in Kenya where, let's say I have a child, we're divorced, its school fees is maybe whatever amount, and the court determines that since the child is staying with me, my ex-husband has to pay 50,000, let's say. Are we at a place where that money can be, like, before it hits your account, the employer diverts the money?
Yeah, so what happens is, for instance, you get these court orders and you serve them on your husband, if you're not divorced at the time, and he's just not complying. So what we normally go back is to court and file something called a notice to show cause, why we shouldn't, one, maybe attach your salary or commit you to civil jail.
Wow.
Yes, for contempt of court orders, because they're not obeying court orders. So if we go for the attachment of salary, then we serve your employer. So your employer deducts that amount from your salary, and it goes to the particulars that have been given by the court and diverts your salary. Yeah. So, I mean, you pray and hope it doesn't get to that, but there are people who are stubborn out there.
Yeah.
And we actually go that direction. Even committal to civil jail, I can tell you, we go to that extent over small things, you know, and it's so easy. And I don't know if it's human beings who are just difficult.
Yeah.
It's something so small, you can actually do it, but this person is so stubborn.
And I think maybe you make it, well, I haven't been in the situation, but maybe you make it more, you're using the child as a pawn in this fight.
Yes,
right?
yes, actually, the issues in between you. And sometimes when you come and you talk to, even as advocates, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to remember we're professionals. And even in things like this, we talk like, you know, we're doing what should count is the best interest of the child at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's not what your client wants or what my client wants. We're also adults and the professionals. Let's advise them to do this, right? And as much as you speak as advocates, sometimes you go back to your client and they're just like, oh,
they're not hearing.
They're not hearing, But you see, now you have your duty. You have a duty to them, so you'll advise them. But you also, I mean, you also have to represent them, and they get to a point here. This person just has to be committed, and that is also another procedure, because you have to go through the court bailiff. You use them to go and arrest the person. You trace the person. It's a whole. If the person is committed to civil jail, you have to trace them and things like that. Go to their house. It's just messy. So I would say, I mean, men or women who are out there, just avoid that process.
Yeah.
If you have court orders, just fulfill them. I mean, at the end of the day, this is your child.
Yeah. And they're dependent. They did no wrong.
Yes. And the law says you have equal responsibility of the child. So why do you now, because you've separated or divorced, why do you want to act like this child came into this world alone, or you were not party to how this child got here?
Yeah. And so the final thing I want to ask on this is, if we're level-headed adults and we agree outside of the court and we say, oh, okay, like, you can have the child on this day, I can pay for this, blah, blah. Can we make that into a document, a legal document, and avoid the court? Or do we have to, if we make it a legal document, maybe get a lawyer for both of us, do we then have to table that with the court somehow?
Yeah, so what happens is, in instances, even when you file this case in court, the court will go through it and they could refer you to mediation, whereby now the two parties are the ones speaking and saying this is what you want. Then whatever they agree on is reduced into something called a mediation agreement. Yes, you're like, this is what we're going to do. This is what the child needs. I will do this. I, as Barbara, will do this. My spouse on the other side will do this, and we agree. And when you're undergoing a mediation process, the advocates are told to, you're in the room, but you stay clear. Let these two parties talk. I mean, it's their child and sort it out. So you're just there as a guide. Yeah. And some people even, they can't afford, they go to this option of going to feeder, because feeder provides for these services, right, on your behalf, and you don't pay. Yeah. So you'll do the mediation agreement. It is recorded in court as an order of the court. You see? So then you have to stick to what is said in the agreement. There's also where you just go to your advocates and say, let's get into a parental responsibility agreement. Yes. So we still come down and we write a list of this is what the child needs. What are you willing to do? What am I willing to do? We record it. And now we also file it in court for record purposes. So that if you go against that agreement, we can go back to court and say, listen, it was like an order of the court. The court stamped it. So we can come after you if you don't stick to what is in the agreement. Yeah. So we record something called a parental responsibility agreement, where it spells out what each party is supposed to do.
So what if there's a woman watching right now and is maybe at the beginning process, or even just like the ideation process, right? Or I want to leave this marriage, maybe there's shared assets, maybe there's children. And because there's so much stigma around divorce, even the information is not openly talked about, right? What's one or two things that you would advise her to be aware of?
I mean, if you want to, first of all, it is okay. And I think when we even started, that's one thing I told you, it's okay. There's some things that don't work. And you'll find women staying in marriages because society expects them to, or your culture, your parents will think that you failed. No, it's not a failure on your part. If you're in a space and you're not okay, it's okay to leave. Yeah. So what you could do, one, get a lawyer, ask around, or two, you can also just go to FIDA. Yeah. Because they'll provide you with assistance that you need. That should be clear at the back of your mind always. Number two, don't be bullied in terms of property. Don't be bullied by someone saying that, you are staying in the house, you didn't earn anything, you didn't make any of this happen. You have rights, right? You may have not contributed financially, but emotionally you are there. This man always found a warm plate of food when he came back home in the evening. His children were always taken care of. He had stresses in the office and he would come and speak to you. So that is also a form of contribution. Understand? So when you take that to court, the court now quantifies a percentage into how this property will be divided. Okay? But as long as you contribute, if you've contributed to the improvement of this man's life to enable him to acquire this property, or even the property itself, you are entitled to a share of the property. If their property that both of you had outside the marriage, but you came into the marriage with them, then they're your separate properties. Yeah. If the property was acquired during the marriage and I, as Barbara, register in my name, it is a presumption that my husband has a beneficial interest in the property. And if I refute that, then we'll have to go to court for him to say that, no, I contributed and show his contribution. And even the same for me. So I'll just tell women to just stay woke all the time. That's what I can say. Sometimes, unfortunately, you get, and I'm not saying that you get into a marriage just thinking about the end, but you always need to be constantly aware. Yeah. Perhaps we do a lot of articles. You can share our
resources.
You can share our LinkedIn and social media pages. We do a lot of articles, just snippets, making you aware of your rights, you see, because a lot of things we've encountered is people are not aware.
Yeah, and then there's stigma.
Yes, there's a lot of stigma around it.
We won't talk about it.
So you sit in the house, someone is beating into a pulp, and you'll wake up in the morning and say, oh, I fell down. And I must this, and then you go to your parents and they're like, no, I stayed in my marriage. So, just...
This comes with marriage.
Yes, it comes with marriage, but no, someone can kill you. So do you want to stay in a marriage that, one day we'll wake up and you find that, Barbara died in her house because she didn't speak out. It is okay to speak out. And let me tell you, people will only talk for a day. The next day, people forget and move on to something else. Especially as Kenyans, we forget so fast.
And then there's so much.
There's so much happening every day. Don't tell you what happened 3 days. So don't hear this. This stigma is there, but don't be afraid. Yeah. Just defocus, stay woke, do your thing. There's a case whereby, customarily, there are customary marriages that are contracted, and the Marriage Act requires you to register the customary marriage. And there was a case recently in court. These people have been married for 22 years, and they went to court for divorce, and the court actually stated that they were not married because they did not register. So that's a debate that's going on between customary law and our law, like Christian law. Like, you see, there's a customary bit of it which is entrenched in our culture.
So like socially, it's a marriage, but legally
is it? Yes.
The law is like
so. And I mean, it's even within our legal circles. There's still different arguments. They're like, I stayed there for 22 years. I did this, I did that. I mean, and it was a presumption of marriage. You see, now there's a delicate balance, and someone else will argue that no, the law requires you to register. So where's your certificate? So you're not married. You see, it's just things like that. So that's some of the case law that is coming up, and people need to be alive to that. So if you have a customary marriage, make sure after 6 months go register it at Sharia house. You actually get certificates for that, and it's I think at the bottom they write it's potentially polygamous. Yes, a customary marriage is potentially polygamous. So it's very clear on the certificate. You'll see it. So just go tell your husband, let's go to Sharia house and register.
Let's get this done.
Or just take control as a woman. I mean, and as Kenyan women, we've come from so far. I can't compare like the stories we had for our mothers. And right now we've come, even the law
even just having this conversation, openly.
Yes, the law has really evolved. So we're not where we'd want to be, but I think there've been a lot of strides, and we're headed in the right direction. As women, we just need to continue pushing and pushing for it. And eventually one day, I mean, I never imagined even getting this profession that would have a female chief justice. But here we are. We have, as a law society, we have a female president. And that's, a plus for us. And I think she's really gotten in there and shown that women can get things done.
Yes, women in leadership.
Yes, women in leadership. Yes. So just give them the chance.
And
you'll see. We really make a big difference.
You do. And Barbara, I have to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Obviously on a personal level, but also just for taking time to come and share with us all of this knowledge that people don't openly talk about, but it's things that we need to know. And also I have to say, congratulations for the work that you do. Your team is growing.
Thank you.
And you walk the talk when it comes to feminist leadership, like including women in the space, in terms of mentorship and more. So thank you so much for that.
So, I mean, I keep saying I have to do it because I also have other women who held my hand. So I also have to take it upon me to hold the hands of those ones who come behind me. So I really take women empowerment very serious, and mentorship is something that's very personal to me. Yes, because I like to see, like, especially when my employees and my girls are out there and they're all shining in their different spaces, and I'm like, that's my girl. It makes me feel good.
Speaking of mentorship, this is just part 1. In part 2, we get to meet a fire force in the legal space that Barbara is mentoring. And so before we get to part 2, I want to hear what you have gathered from Barbara in this episode. Are there things you've connected with? Are there things that you didn't know that now you do know? Drop them in the comments. In the caption, we put links to Barbara and the article she talked about that can be resources for you to learn more. And make sure you subscribe so that you do not miss out on part 2 of all the legal stuff that women need to know about.